You are standing in Yellowstone National Park. It is a perfect summer morning. Bison graze in the valley. Steam rises from geysers. It is, in almost every visible way, one of the most beautiful places on Earth. You have no idea what is directly beneath your feet. Beneath Yellowstone sits one of the most catastrophically powerful geological systems in the known history of our planet. A supervolcano. Not a volcano, a supervolcano. The distinction is the difference between a house fire and the end of a continent. It has erupted 3 times in the last 2 million years. Each eruption was among the most violent events in the history of life on Earth. Scientists have confirmed Yellowstone is not extinct. It is sleeping, and the ground beneath the park rose nearly 3 feet between 2004 and 2008. So here is the question that actually keeps volcanologists awake at night. What if it erupts tomorrow? Not in 1,000 years, tomorrow. What actually happens, hour by hour, day by day, to the people, the continent, the climate, and the planet? This is the full, science-grounded answer, and it is far worse and far more complicated than any disaster movie has ever shown you. Chapter 1. The Monster Under the Ground. To understand what an eruption means, you first need to understand what Yellowstone actually is. Not a park, a caldera. A caldera is the collapsed crater of a previous supervolcanic eruption. You do not stand beside Yellowstone, you stand inside it. The magma chamber beneath it is 90 kilometers long, 40 kilometers wide, and sits only 8 kilometers below the surface. That chamber contains between 4,000 and 15,000 cubic kilometers of partially molten rock. The uncertainty itself is terrifying. Yellowstone has erupted 3 times, 2.1 million years ago, 1.3 million years ago, and 640,000 years ago. Each eruption ejected more than 1,000 cubic kilometers of material. The last eruption deposited ash across 18 U.S. states. It is preserved in the rock record as far away as Louisiana, Iowa, and California. The hotspot beneath Yellowstone, the mantle plume, has been burning through the North American plate for 16 million years. It moved. The plate moved over it. The signs that it is still very much alive are everywhere. Old Faithful erupts every 90 minutes. The ground temperature at some spots reaches 93 degrees Celsius. And earthquake swarms hit Yellowstone regularly. In 2017, over 2,300 earthquakes struck in a single 3-month window. Nobody panicked. The ground simply adjusts. Chapter 2. The First 24 Hours. 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. So, tomorrow morning, 6:47 a.m., the eruption begins. Here is exactly what happens, in sequence. Nothing is dramatized. This is the science. The magma, superheated and under enormous pressure, fractures the 8 kilometers of crust above it. The ground does not crack, it explodes upward. A column of ash, rock, and superheated gas called a Plinian column rises 50 kilometers into the stratosphere within the first 30 minutes. The noise. Within 10 minutes, the sound wave reaches Salt Lake City. Windows shatter. Within 30 minutes, Denver hears it. People 3,000 miles away will feel it. Pyroclastic flows, walls of superheated gas and rock moving at 700 kilometers per hour, radiate from the caldera. Everything within 100 kilometers is gone instantly. Jackson Hole, Wyoming, 100 kilometers south, gone in 8 minutes. The town does not burn, it is buried under 10 meters of superheated ash and rock. The emergency services have exactly minutes to respond. There is no evacuation protocol that works at this speed and this scale. None. Within the first 6 hours, ash begins falling on Denver, Colorado, 650 kilometers away. Not dust, centimeters of abrasive volcanic ash. Volcanic ash is not soft, it is pulverized glass and rock. It clogs aircraft engines instantly. Every commercial flight over North America is grounded. Within 24 hours, the ash cloud has reached the East Coast. A gray twilight falls over New York. The sun is gone. It will not return for months. Chapter 3. The Continental Collapse. This is where the scale shifts from disaster to something that has no modern comparison. The word we need is not disaster. It is civilizational collapse. Ashfall of 10 centimeters or more covers the entire agricultural heartland of the United States, the Corn Belt, the Wheat Belt, Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska, Illinois, all of it. At 10 centimeters of ash, roofs collapse. At 30 centimeters, buildings collapse. The structural load of wet volcanic ash equals that of wet concrete. The Mississippi River chokes on ash. The Missouri River chokes. Water systems across 20 states are contaminated. The ash makes water acidic and undrinkable. Power grids fail. Ash is electrically conductive. It short-circuits transformers across an area the size of Western Europe. The eastern grid goes dark within 48 hours. The supply chain of the largest economy on Earth stops functioning within 72 hours. No fuel deliveries, no food shipments, no internet backbone connectivity. Canada, Mexico, and every country in the Western Hemisphere immediately closes borders with the United States. The refugee scale has no historical precedent. An estimated 100 million Americans are inside the heaviest ashfall zones. Of those, no mass evacuation is logistically possible. The roads are buried. But the immediate human death toll from the eruption itself, the first 72 hours, is estimated by scientists at between 50,000 and 100,000 people. That number will seem small to you in about 90 seconds, because the eruption is only the beginning of what Yellowstone actually does to the planet.
Chapter 4. The Volcanic Winter. This is where Yellowstone graduates from natural disaster to planetary event. The eruption injects an estimated 2,000 cubic kilometers of sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere. Sulfur dioxide becomes sulfuric acid aerosols. They act as a mirror, reflecting incoming solar radiation back into space. The planet begins to cool. Scientists call this volcanic winter. The last time something similar happened, Tambora, 1815, average global temperatures dropped 0.4 degrees. That caused the year without a summer. Tambora ejected 150 cubic kilometers of material. Yellowstone's last eruption ejected 2,500. The cooling effect is not 16 times worse. It is in a different category of magnitude entirely. Modeling suggests average global temperatures drop between 5 and 10 degrees Celsius within 3 years, in some scenarios up to 15 degrees, for a decade or more. Growing seasons in temperate regions, Europe, China, Russia, the breadbaskets of the world, shorten by months, then effectively vanish. The global food supply depends on predictable growing seasons. Without them, the food systems that feed 8 billion people begin to fail within 2 years. Famine modeling for a Yellowstone-scale volcanic winter suggests between 1 and 5 billion deaths within 5 years. Not from the eruption, from starvation. The nuclear powers of the world, Russia, China, Pakistan, India, France, the UK, are all facing simultaneous civilizational stress. The risk of nuclear conflict during this period is real. Even nations far from Yellowstone, Australia, Brazil, sub-Saharan Africa, face catastrophic food import dependency failure. No civilization is insulated from this. The volcanic winter from Yellowstone would be the defining event of human civilization, not a historical footnote, the hinge point, before and after. Chapter 5. What Science Actually Says. Now, let us be precise about the probability, because the most important thing about Yellowstone, the thing most coverage gets wrong, is the actual risk. The USGS, the United States Geological Survey, monitors Yellowstone continuously with over 700 sensors: ground deformation, seismic activity, gas emissions, temperature. Their current assessment: the probability of a Yellowstone supereruption in any given year is approximately 1 in 730,000, about 0.00014%. For context, you are more likely to be struck by a meteorite in your lifetime than to be alive during a Yellowstone supereruption. But, and this is the critical qualifier, that 0.00014% is the average annual probability. A supereruption is overdue by geological standards. The intervals between eruptions were 800,000 years and 660,000 years. We are 640,000 years into the current interval. The pattern suggests we are in the window. Scientists are also careful to note, geology is not clockwork. Being in the interval window does not mean imminent eruption. It means we do not know. And that is the honest answer. What is certain, the smaller hydrothermal explosions, much less than a supereruption, happen regularly and unpredictably. The last major one was in 1989. It produced a 100-meter crater instantly. And there is one more thing science tells us with confidence. We would have warning. The earthquake swarms, the ground uplift, the gas emissions, we would see it coming. Weeks, maybe months ahead.
The movement seems consistent.
Yellowstone is a reminder that the planet does not operate on human timescales. That for most of Earth's history, catastrophe was not the exception, it was the condition. The supervolcano beneath our feet is not a threat. It is simply the planet doing what planets do, on timescales that make human history look like a single afternoon. We built cities on its caldera. We named it a park. We drive through it in minivans and take photographs. And perhaps that is the most human thing we have ever done. The question is not whether Yellowstone will erupt. It will. The question is whether we will still be here, watching, measuring, warning, when it does. If you want the history and science that changes how you see the world, subscribe our channel.
because next week we go somewhere even the scientists find hard to explain. So stay closed. Take care.